Welcome food fans, picky eaters, the flavor curious, and everyone in between. Nothing makes good food better than good conversation, and your table is ready. Welcome back to another episode of the Food For ThoughtCast with your hosts, Melissa Reagan and Steven Gonzalez, but you can call them Chef. All right, let's get this episode started.
Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for ThoughtCast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's up, buddy?
Hi, how's it going?
I couldn't be more excited because, first of all, it is our 100th episode. Woo woo!
Yeah.
And second of all, we have a return guest who I'm very excited about, Chef Dominic Hawks. What's up, Chef?
Yeah.
Hey, great to be back. Thank you so much for having me back on.
Thank you for coming back on. I begged for months. I couldn't leave him alone. He finally gave in.
I was gonna scream,
Like,
woo-hoo, but I
okay.
saw that you all that Dominic has headphones on, so I don't want him to go deaf. Me
It
screaming.
could be really loud.
Yeah. When you see me snatch them out.
Yeah.
Give us, just in case this is somebody's first time tuning in, and if that's the case, thank you so much for listening. Wow, 100 episodes. But just in case somebody doesn't know from last time, give us the brief rundown of who you are and where you are.
So lots of things have happened in life, but I've been very, very lucky to enjoy a career going from Britain. You may hear a weird accent there. Originally, I went through culinary school, business school for hospitality management. Found a wonderful life in the United States, originally coming over with Bank of America, or Nations Bank as it was back then. And then I had to come back over after that to work at Charlotte City Club. I was their food and beverage director for 19 years. Learned lots of things about everything to do with the industry, and now I'm giving it all back to the next generation by being a school teacher. And so this is almost the end of my 6th year now in culinary arts, teaching the students all the wonderful things that we have in the industry and letting them in on a few secrets about some terrible things to avoid, but some to try and find the best way around it. So
Somebody has to let them in on the terrible things. Oh my gosh, what a shocker it was.
But that's the thing. It's when you start looking at it, I have some students who are pretty clued in on the fact that it's like, I don't want to sweat every day in a kitchen. And then there are others who already have jobs in the kitchen and just love that, the thrill of when you have a perfect service and everything goes well, and it's like, and the adrenaline rush you get with it. But others who are just like, that's not for me. But I love the creativity, and I love the customer service side of things, the interactions. It's like, well, there's something for everybody. So, and actually, that's something we can talk about with when we went on our road trip. And we went to look at some stuff.
I think there is a role.
What? Did I hear road trip?
I've been taking my students on road trip. In fact, I've been outside of the classroom with my students more this semester than I have in the last 6 years. So it's been a lot of fun, actually. We've been exploring.
Yeah.
I think there are roles for everybody in this business, and depending on what you want to do or where you want to be. I used to laugh about, they say if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. But the more and more I got promoted, the less I actually have to do that. So I'm like, well, I'm nice and dry. What's everybody going on about? Yeah.
Well, that's the eventual.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that's the eventual plan for any of my students, is that I always remind them, it's like, I'm not teaching you just how to cook something. I'm teaching you culinary arts management. Yeah. I want you to aim for the top. But I never smoke. I never blow smoke up their butts and just say, oh, you'll be an executive chef next week. It's like, oh no. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort. So.
Yeah, I think that's great that you have students who are saying like, this isn't for me, or you're helping them find something other than you're going to be the next big chef,
Right.
I think it's like the culinary school that Steve and I went to certainly sold it to us as like, you're going to be the next Gordon Ramsay. It was a really ridiculous. There wasn't a lot of realistic heads up, I would say. Well, hey, but we got to talk about the most amazing thing you ate this week. Let's hear it.
So you want to go with me first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Wow, I've eaten a lot of really cool stuff. We just went to a competition, and so my students were making stuff, but then we went to an amazing restaurant. But I think overall the best thing, because I love it anyway, was I had a big curry meal, and that was actually, I did a post on it because we went over to Greenville Tech. They're an ACF college in Greenville, South Carolina. We just came out from the competition, and we'd already arranged to go and do a little site visit because, when you're on a road trip doing a competition, why not go and continue the road trip after? And the instructors there, we bumped into them at competition because some of them were judges, and they said to my students, so you're coming in a couple of days, what do you want to eat? And one of them just threw out curry. And they're like, okay, well, what kind of curry? You want like Japanese curry, Indian curry, or Jamaican curry, or what kind? And it's like, and their minds were blown. It's like, I don't know, bit of everything. So they very kindly put together 4 different curries for us. They made some fresh handmade naan breads. Actually, they had our students help out making the last few samosas. We had a big meal, and this was about an hour after we just had brunch with the actual award ceremony for the competition. So, yeah, I didn't think I was hungry, but for me, as soon as I start eating curry, I'm like, oh, I got room. I'll make room.
Yeah, you found the space. It sounds like.
Oh yeah, it was like vegetable. There was a chicken one. There was lamb, and was there a beef one? I forget now. But yeah, it was really good, really good.
I love lamb curry, man.
Mm-hmm.
That curry is amazing. Yeah.
Yep.
Anything lamb, in my opinion. It's amazing. What about you, Melissa?
Well, the most amazing thing I've eaten this week was actually something I made myself today. I had kind of been on a bag salad kick because my time is worth money. And I'll jazz them up and add things and add proteins and whatnot. But it got really cold and nasty here in North Carolina today. It was like pouring rain, straight line winds, tornado watch, like the whole 9 yards. And so I kind of wanted to just be curled up under like a big blanket. And so a couple episodes back, Chef Steve gave some recommendations about cooking sirloin in the air fryer. And I bought like a huge package of a really good deal. It was like $13.99. It was like 6 little sirloin steaks. I cut them all into cubes and marinated them and then like portioned them out, one steak to a Ziploc baggie essentially. So I'd marinated one in like gochujang with a little rice vinegar and soy sauce.
Nice.
And I had bought an Asian salad kit. And so the cabbage hardy ones, like the really, really hardy ones, not the lettuce ones, because you just end up with like a pile of soggy mess, but the ones that have a lot of cabbage or like broccoli slaw in them or whatever, I cooked them instead.
Nice.
I sauteed it. I air fried the sirloin steak bites until they were nice and tender. And then I just put all the goodies from the salad bag on top. And I'm like, it works for me. It's not haute cuisine, but like it was delicious. This was like wonton strips, almonds, like all the salad goodies and steak. It was delicious.
Yeah, you sent me the picture, and I've been meaning to respond, but like I was at work. It was a very busy day.
I crushed it. It was delicious. Yeah. So, and all in all, the cost at the end of the day was, like $4 and some change, and had like a lot of protein and all the veggies, and there you are. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Steve?
So I went the sirloin route, but I didn't cube it up or air fry it. So I'm trying to, get back into the meal prep because, of course, I like to eat a lot of junk. So DeCosta is always on the top of my list for the most amazing things I've had, things like that. So we did some sirloin. I just on a cast iron, just got a good sear on it, got a nice mid-rare. Did some broccoli, onions, garlic, spinach, things like that, and then a little bit of brown rice. Typically, I'm not, all about like the healthy stuff, but I'm not gonna lie. Like when it's seasoned properly, that all together, it's just great. So it's almost just like a big old giant mix of like healthy food, you know? So I would say right now that was the most amazing thing I've had to eat this week, because the Thin Mint cookies that I just finished eating were pretty good. As you eat healthier, like sometimes some of that stuff, that processed food's like, oh, well, why did I eat all that?
I have 4 single Thin Mints left in a plastic sleeve in the freezer, and I'm like rationing them one by one.
It was supposed to be part of a dessert for my next YouTube video, and I've got a sleeve left. So
good intentions.
This year with the Girl Scout cookies, I got 2 different Girl Scouts that reached out to me, and I was just like, let me just hit the donation button instead, because it's like I once I start on those things, oh goodness.
There have
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say there have been years where I've been like, let me just give you the money. I don't need to eat the cookies.
Right.
This year, I was really, really in the mood for them. I wish that they had sugar-free options, but they don't. And so I think they're missing out, though. There's a big corner of the market that they could cover. But I live in such a small town now that it's like the same 4 Girl Scouts are just set up like in front of the Walmart or Aldi. And I'm like, damn it. Like, I can't look you in the eye. Like, I can walk past, like, I'm going to have to buy some. Like, you know.
Yeah, my wife bought like 4 boxes of cookies and said they delivered all today. So every day that, you know, she's coming back from DC because she had to go for work, but every night it was a whole box of cookies. Like, we're gonna eat all of them, and we need to stop buying them. And of course, what do I do is I bought her the new like special flavored M&Ms that are like white chocolate and dark chocolate, and of course it's the same song and dance. We can't be doing this, but I'm gonna buy some more junk food. Now that I know there's a donation button, I'll be using that instead of actually buying cookies. We'll just donate to a good cause.
Yeah.
Then you feel good, and you feel good afterwards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know they changed all the fun name. Like they did away with all the fun names, I guess, and made the packaging is like more straightforward. But the Do-si-dos, the peanut butter sandwich cookies, like a serving size is a sleeve. Sorry, like it. I can't. I didn't make the rules.
Let's be real. It's a box.
I didn't write those rules. You know,
it's always a problem because when you start the sleeve, it's like, well, there's a bunch of them, so I'll just have a couple, and then you start looking at the TV, and you just have a couple more, and then you're like, well, there's only like 3 left now, so I mean, I can't put 3 away.
The big problem is like I will not be done chewing the first one before I have put the next one in my mouth. It's like. You know,
we all faced
sure about the first one.
Where they're all like it's just one sleeve in the actual container, and so there's like 15 cookies. Same thing where you're like, I've had 3, let's have 2 more, and you're sharing with someone, and both of y'all are like, well, yeah, there's like 5 cookies left, we have to eat them. You know?
Like it would be silly to leave these behind.
You share cookies with people? Oh. Guess I've done that wrong.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oops.
So, well, Dom, what's new in culinary education? Let's catch us up on where you've been. What you been doing?
So lots of things. Well, so this last weekend, we went over to Spartanburg in South Carolina. So I live just over the border in North Carolina. But every day I skip across the border. They never catch me, and I go down into South Carolina. I'm the culinary arts instructor at Lancaster County School District. We have a career center right in the center of our district, and we have 4 high schools, and they all feed into our career center. But yeah, so since October, we've had 2 teams this year. It's the first time we've entered both competitions, but there's a culinary competition and a management competition. Since October, it blows me away when I start looking at like how many hours these students will put in. So every week we meet right after school, and we're generally there till about 8:30 in the evening. There's certainly no other cars parked in the parking lot by that stage, and they come up with the culinary one. They have to come up with their menu, and I'm there as an advisor and to kind of keep them out of trouble, right? Don't go outside the lines because you get in trouble out here. But beyond that, it's all down to them. So they have to come up with a 3-course meal. They have to be able to cook it. They'll have 4 chefs and 1 manager. They have to be able to cook it within 1 hour, and there's no running water and no power. And they get 2 of the little gas camping stoves kind of things. So no ovens, no microwaves, no.
So remind me, this is like where you cook on top of the gas can, or this is like a omelet station?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
like an omelet station kind of stove. Yeah. And so they're limited on what they can do with that, but it's great because it's a and this is all run by ProStart, part of National Restaurant Association. And so they have the state competitions, and then they have the national competitions after that. But so it's a good equalizer because you may have a career center that's got a huge budget, and they're like, whatever equipment you want to have,
5 rationales and the Alto Sham that also smokes.
One day. But so it's a great equalizer because it's like it doesn't really matter how much money you have, because you can't do that much more with it because you can't plug anything in, and so this year, the appetizer that the students made was a banh mi, like a banh mi is the size of my finger, and they made it really cute with the tiny little tiny little
banh mini.
Right, exactly. Well, but so how do you cook a banh mi? So we had the Dutch oven that they sat. So the second that they said okay and go, so turned on the stove with a Dutch oven sitting on top with a ceramic dish inside, so it'd insulate it from burning it on the bottom. They got it so it was literally smoking hot. I mean, it's like smoke bellowing out from this thing, and then place the banh mi's. They have to make 2 of each course, one that's going to be displayed and one that's going to be judged. And so as a banh mi, they used pork tenderloin, so it would quickly cook, but to make a little Korean barbecue to go in there. And then they took some tofu. They marinated it first, and then flour, egg, breadcrumbs. So you had and that went in the little banh mi as well. So you had the crunch factor as well as the soft, sweet, savory.
It's like a tofu too.
So, right, yeah. And
that sounds
and then
amazing.
And they did a little Asian slaw to go on the side with it as well, kind of sped up. So they heated up the vinegar base to it and dumped it onto onto
super quick pickle.
Right, exactly, and just kind of stir it up a bit and all right. And so, so that was the appetizer. The entree, beef stir fry, and they used baby bok choy. They used some of those leaves to garnish the appetizer. So they used the base. Some of the leaves to chop up and go into the stir fry, but then they use the base. If you go and slice off the base, it literally looks like a flower at the base, and they put a hard sear onto it, so it kind of emphasized that flower on there for the garnish that went in the center.
Nice.
And then the dessert was a ginger matcha tea cake, but then again, you can't bake anything because there's no oven, so they steamed it. They had
very nice.
In small little Pyrex dishes, and they steamed it. So, and then they chilled it down rapidly because then they put a mirror glaze over the top of it as well. Worked out very well. It's certainly for a 1 hour meal. It was very challenging. This is definitely the most challenging menu that any of my students have done to date. And they were 4 minutes over. That was the only thing, but we knew it was going to be tight because when you're on the competition floor versus being back at school where it's relatively quiet, we're in our little cocoon of a kitchen. When they're on the floor there, and you've got another team over there that just finished, and there's noises and clattering and everything, distractions everywhere. So I knew that we'd be very close on time, but they pulled it through, and they did terrifically well. And the judges loved the food, and
it's good practice for like a real kitchen, because that is never quiet.
Right, exactly.
And hear yourself think sometimes.
We purposefully planned one of the practice nights that they had. This is about a month or so ago. That we purposely planned it to be on the same night when we had an open house for parents to come in. So I literally had dozens and dozens of parents coming and going, and I was talking to the parents while they were cooking. It's like, this is perfect. This is exactly what it's going to be like. And I've got a video. We're going to get together next week, and I'm going to show them the video. But in the last about 2 or 3 minutes, right when they're trying to concentrate the most, there's literally about 12 judges all just crammed around them because they all want to see what's going on at the end. And the kids just want to get done. This is like, I'm going to get this finished. What are you
Stop
doing there?
looking at me.
But no, they're terrifically well. And
isn't that though? Like, I don't know if this has been anybody else's experience, but when we were cooking for people, like that's almost the same. Is they're like, "What are you doing? What's that for?" Go away.
Right. Nothing. You'll see it when it's done.
Right.
Go sit down.
Do you need help? No.
Right. Yes, I need one thing. You seated.
I need a beer, and you go over there.
Right. So we also entered. This was our first year that we entered into the management competition as well. So we've in the history of Lancaster County, we've never entered into this one. So this one's all about, you have to create a concept of a restaurant. It can either be a freestanding restaurant, like your Ruth's Chris or something like that. It can be a strip mall location, or it can be an airport location, or it can be a food truck. So you can pick one of those four, and then you flesh out the idea, this concept for a restaurant. So my students went with a food truck, and they decided that they were going to go with the Shinkansen, the bullet train, the Japanese bullet train. They wanted to make their food truck look like the bullet train. Wow. And they had all these plans around. You go to the front window and you place your order, and then you go to the next window to pick up the order. So they had to create like a floor plan for it. They actually used AI to create the design, the actual facade design for it as well. Nice. But then they have to work out a full menu for it. And there's all sorts of limitations on what you can and can't put on the menu, and how many dishes and everything like that. And then they have to work out how they're going to market it. So using costings on, and then working out the return on your investment with marketing as well. Whether you're going to use leaflets or if you're going to go Instagram or Facebook, and they're given prices for clicks and various things like that, and so that way they can actually work out and then come out and justify what they're going to do. And then they have to present this whole thing. Oh, and when they have to cost out the menu as well. So
essentially, they're part of this competition. It's like Shark Tank, and they're doing like a business plan.
That's truly impressive, though. You're getting them
amazing,
ready for it. So
because that's like really the hardest part. Like Dominic, like you could, if I didn't know how to do anything, you could teach me how to make an amazing steak. But like running a business, altogether different.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. And it helps them to understand, because how many restaurants come and go? With the first couple of years, first 6 months are like the most critical, because there's so many restaurants that open up. They have no cash flow because they spent it all starting the restaurant up, and then they go belly up because they just run dry.
It's usually because they can't pay their people. They're having to make a choice between buying product and payroll.
Right, exactly.
Super sad.
Oh yeah. But so this it's just a really good way for them to understand, because it's eye-opening for students when they actually start seeing the real numbers, because when they're looking at so my students said, okay, we're going to get some impingement ovens because they're going to release less heat, so it'll be more controllable within. Especially if it's got quieter times, you can actually have them down, so you're not producing tons of heat inside there and inside the food truck and everything. But when you start looking at pricing on all these pieces of commercial equipment, and luckily on my advisory committee, I have someone who sells equipment, and so I'm like, hey, I need prices on this, and some specs on these things, and so he is able to provide a bunch of that for my students too. But it's cool. But when the students start seeing how much this stuff costs, they're like, how do they ever open any businesses up? So that's what you have to be able to do. And for all intents and purpose, this whole presentation they make it's almost like if you were to go to the bank manager and say, hey, this is what I got, this is what the plan is, and now I need some cash to make it happen.
It's like every chef needs a super wealthy business partner.
Right, exactly.
Preferably silent.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that all went really well, and so and what I always try to do is I always try and create it to be more of a like an experience overall, because if all we do is go down there for that competition, then well, what if you don't come in first? Well, the likelihood is you're not going to come in first, right? Because
Right.
there's a whole lot of teams there, and so it's like, unless if you have the one that, because there's so many variables with it, from from them checking uniforms and grading uniforms, looking at safety and sanitation, checking the
Hmm.
food in. The final product is like only one small section of the whole thing. So
Yeah.
so anything could go wrong at any given time. And
Hmm.
so well, but the fact is, though, overall it's a great experience, because
Yeah.
so ProStart, who runs this, they when we first arrived, they have a big opening ceremony. They feed us really well. That the whole time that we're there, they feed us. And then and they just put on all these different things. They do a huge amount of fundraising to make it happen as well.
Wow.
So it's really absolutely fantastic. And then the national competition, they do the same thing as well. That they make it so it's possible for every for any school that's that's able to make it. Then they're able to do that. So it's really neat. It really is a lot of fun. And then on the Monday night, that's when we go out for a big celebration meal.
Yeah.
So we went to what was it called? Level 10, which it's on top of a hotel. It's on the 10th floor of a hotel
Cool.
in Spartanburg, and it's a really nice steakhouse. I highly recommend it. Not a paid endorsement, but if they want to,
If they wanted to send you some steaks, you wouldn't be opposed.
I wouldn't turn them away. Yeah. But yeah, so we took our students out, and where we do fundraising throughout the year, selling meals and things like that pays for everything. So our students don't have to pay a penny for anything.
Oh,
They just
wow.
they put in the work, and
That's
we make sure that
incredible.
we have the funding. So, but so I had some of my students who they had lobster for the first time in their life, so it's kind of neat when they when they're able to try out these different things where they're just not from that background, that they were able to do that.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
was cool.
So let me ask you, you were saying, there's so many teams that participate that the chances of getting first, it's a very hard feat to accomplish,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you ever have competition or conversations with them saying, look, like whatever you do, I want you to be proud of what you're doing. Like, so whether you
Oh
come in
yeah.
first, second, or whatever, like
Hmm.
you own it and you kicked butt and this and that.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. It's
okay.
and that's so that's
Hey
always the
guys, I'm going to
conversation.
step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Because
But yeah,
yeah, it's very competitive, and
right.
for your students who put a lot of pride and a lot of effort into it,
Hmm.
uh, to not come in first, I would imagine that it could be devastating to some people depending on how competitive they are, or you
Right.
have the students who are like myself, like, hey, I'm gonna have fun and I'm just gonna own it.
Right. Well, and that's where I always try to make it where it's okay, guys, we're going to be away for 3 days. You're going to compete for 1 hour. And that
Wow.
piece there, you're going to do everything you possibly can. But for the rest of the time, we're going to have an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And I temper it with, because I also have to temper their understanding of feedback, critical feedback, because
Right.
Chef Hawks is generally pretty nice to the students. I'll let them know if they're doing something dangerous or something silly. There's no
Absolutely.
space for that. But
Right.
when it comes to them working on their knife cuts and things like that, I'm pretty generous. I'll try and steer them to being where they
Right.
need to be. But I'm not just going to turn around and be like, what is this garbage?
Well,
Right.
because it's not do or die. Like the entire point is for them to learn, right?
Right, exactly.
Sorry,
But
guys. There were sirens, and I had to determine whether they were cops or tornado sirens. Just
yeah.
needed to understand. I was
Here we
like,
go.
I think I'm hearing things, but it might be time to be in a closet. Not sure. So yeah.
But yeah, so one thing they are judged on, they are judged on their knife skills. So they actually have to present. So the stir fry had medium diced carrots, and and then the slaw that was with the appetizer, they had julienne carrots. So they actually had to put a portion of each of those into little the little 2-ounce ramekins. So they could be judged without them being cooked, and they changed that a couple of years ago because
So medium is going to be a 1/2 inch, right?
it was a half. Yeah, right.
Yeah, quarter
And
for small, half for medium.
right. And so they'll literally pour them out, and they'll pull through them like, yeah, okay, yeah, I think we're looking good. Or the,
Mm.
but
right there.
yeah, and because up until a couple of years ago when they changed that rule, it used to be what was, they would have to judge it from what was in the food. Well, once you start cooking these
You
things down,
can mask a plethora of
right,
things with
right.
heat and sauce.
Right, exactly. So now you can't, because it's like boom, it's in the cups, and so now, so what I always do, so the whenever we're talking about what your critique's going to be, I talk through with them. It's like, okay, they may come back and they may say this and this and this, and you can't turn around and fight back when the judges are telling you about things that you could do to improve. Then you just have to listen. There's, that's not the opportunity for you to have a discussion unless if they
my
invite
favorite
you
is
to the
like,
conversation.
Yeah.
thank you.
right.
Like, thank you for letting me know.
But I mean,
right.
You also have to remember, like the students or the people that take the feedback and they actually listen to it and they say yes, chef, or thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that end up doing big things. The ones that fight back
Right.
are the ones that are arrogant, who
right.
probably
Exactly.
shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to think about those knife cuts going into a 2-ounce ramekin. Like, I'll never forget the first time that I absolutely nailed like a small dice or a tournée or whatever, what have you, right? Or like figured out how to make a carrot flour with a bird's beak, and they're like, yeah, cool, I need a 6-pan of these for service. Oh my god, are you serious? Yes. And you have an hour. Oh my god, really?
It's funny you say that. So my first job, I worked at the Prince Regent Hotel in North London. I was 15 years old when I was offered the opportunity to go and intern there when I was in high school. And I was like, hey, I'd love to stay. And they were like, we're not hiring anyone right now. I said, well, I'll do it for free because I'm planning on going to culinary school. And they were like, oh, for free? Sure, you're hired. And so
can't do that anymore.
right. They started paying after a while, but yeah. But it was a great opportunity for me. So once I went to culinary school, I'd go culinary school Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday I'd work at the Prince Regent. And so I'd show up Friday morning, and the executive chef would say to me, "So what have you done this week?" And I'll, that's the thing. It'll be things like tournée. It's like, "Oh yeah, I learned how to tournée a carrot." It was like, "Oh great, how many carrots did you do?" "Oh, like two or three carrots." Because in college, how many carrots are you going to do? Because even if we had an actual restaurant, but how many carrots are we going to go through? But so that I remember that weekend is like, there's a 50-pound bag of carrots over here. You can go ahead and get started. So we'll have tournée on the table d'hôte menu this weekend. So that got pretty good actually.
It's like, I would love to take this random, extremely arbitrary knife cut and turn it into the vegetable of the day today.
Right. Yeah.
Hurry up.
right. When that's the thing, it's like, do I have to keep doing getting carpal tunnel here? but yeah.
Oh, you're doing fine. Just keep going. Yeah.
When that was the thing, though, is after a while, I got pretty good at it. After about 1,000 carrots,
Absolutely.
But yeah, and the students, they actually did very well when they got the feedback. I definitely help them to understand that the fact is that if they start nickel and diming you on the smallest of things, it's a good sign, because it means they couldn't find anything hugely catastrophic. When they turn around,
and they can't find nothing. They have to give you
there has to be something, because nothing is perfect. And even if it tasted like the best dish you've ever had, you could have done it slightly differently, right? So there's always suggestions for everything. But so that's the thing, is that I always reassure them that when you're doing, when they're telling you and giving you their feedback, if it's on minuscule minor things, or if it's on recommended changes that, hey, in future you could also do this, or you could also do that, well, then in that case you're looking good. So but it was a really good experience overall, and having our first management team, I was super proud of them, because we've never done this before, and now I could read the rules book, but actually understanding every step that they're going to go through and all the things. So now I definitely feel I can I can better assist them with getting through it next year as well. So, but yeah, no, it was really neat. So, yep, we had a lot of fun doing that. So so that was our latest road trip. Sorry, go ahead.
I was sneaky. No, it's okay. I love hearing about this.
Yeah.
There's another thing I want to hear about, because I was sneaky and I reached out to Chef Dom earlier on, but I want to hear about this MREs.
Oh yeah, it's fun. So yeah, so every year I have the National Guard come in, and I didn't come up with this idea. It was just something I've adapted from other genius culinary arts instructors, because that's the best teachers in the world. We steal everything. And so, I talked with another culinary arts instructor a few years back, and they were like, "Oh yeah, when the National Guard comes in, they always have to owe me something." It's like, what are you talking about? Were they going to bring a gun in or something? I don't think we're allowed those in school. So they were like, no, tell them to bring MRE meals in. And so I'd had a couple of MRE meals with the Boy Scouts, because we've done those on camping trips, just to taste the horrendous things that are in there. I said, they reached out to me and they were like, hey, we'd love to come and talk to your students about paying for college and stuff. And there really are some amazing programs that they do. That the Coast Guard right now is offering a $60,000 sign-on bonus for culinary students.
Wow. Wowzer.
If they are certified, like whether it's with ACF or ProStart or ServSafe, then they'll take them on and they'll give them a sign-on bonus of $60,000 to join. It's like, wow. Will they take
39-year-olds? Because
I know.
So
I could do some things with $60,000.
So they announced it to all the culinary teachers like about a year ago.
Yeah.
And half the teachers were like, "Hold up, you need people who can cook." Well, I couldn't do that.
You can do that.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to pay off the culinary school loan. That's why I need it.
Right. When so they I said to them, okay, yeah, I'd love for you to come in, tell my students all about the programs you got to pay for culinary school and everything, but I'd also like for you to bring a case of MRE meals so that we can do the MRE meal challenge. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, I'll let you know when you come in. So they came in a week or so ago to show show my students what an MRE meal is, because most of them, unless if they have military family, they have no idea what MRE even means.
Worst Lunchable ever.
Exactly. Yep. And so yes, it's meals ready to eat. If anyone out there didn't know what MRE was, but it's in this really boring looking brown packaging, because you get some of them have like desserts in them, and it might just literally be a couple of Tootsie Rolls. Well, it won't say on the packaging that's around the outside, it won't say it's a Tootsie Roll. It'll say it's like a brown chocolate candy or something like that. So right, and you open it up and it's like, oh, it's a Tootsie Roll. but yeah, so they have like an entree in there, some kind of a snack, some kind of dessert, a drink of some sort, and then like an electrolyte drink packet, and there's all, and then the obligatory spoon, the oven kind of thing, which is actually this heater pack. You pour a little bit of water into it, put the meal into there, and lean it up against a rock. It literally says in the instructions, lean it up against a rock, because you want it to be on an angle so that it steams everything hot. So they came in, they introduced it to the students, so they knew what on earth it all was. They opened up several packets and the students tasted them. Some of them actually, they taste pretty good. It's what they look like that's the problem, because these things are shelf stable for like a couple of decades. If you're going to be wrapped up in a packet for a couple of decades, how would you look? And so it's kind of cat food, dog food kind of looking stuff. But the fact is, they generally are fairly well seasoned. They've normally got a fairly good flavor to them. They just look horrendous. So the challenge to the students is, and so what we'll do in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to have them all paired up, and we'll just lay out a bunch of the MRE meals side down, so they can't see. It's all sight unseen. They can't see which ones they're picking, and they just have to pick one of those, open it up, have a look, and see what they've got inside. They have to create a 3-course meal. They can use any of the equipment in the kitchen, so they don't have to lean something up against. They don't have to find a rock.
I was going to be like, do you just give them a rock? Is that
right? Dunk. Right. So they they
Oh,
don't have to
here's
do
a
that. But
magnifying glass, heat it up.
but so they can use any of the equipment in the kitchen. So we've got like ice cream machines, and we've got
Yeah.
sous vide machines. We've got all sorts of stuff that they can use. And but they want to, we want them to denature this product. We want them to make it look like something different. It shouldn't look like a bowl of cat food, with a strange flatbread cracker thing next to it. But so last year so I showed them quite a few pictures of last year's things that they came up with, because I had students who would take like I think it was a cherry packet mix, obviously artificially colored, so it's horrendous red.
Like
But
Kool-Aid?
right,
Like
right, exactly,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
exactly. And so, it's like, what do you do with that? So I've had some students who have taken those before, added sugar, so they're allowed 2 additional ingredients. Water's free; you can have as much water as you want, but they're allowed up to 2 additional ingredients per course. But now they can't like save one ingredient and have 3 on one and 1 on another. It's 2, 1
Oh.
or nothing, right? So they have to start looking at what it is on a on an ingredients basis at times. So you got this drinks mix, which had electrolytes, no sugar, and flavoring and horrendous colors and stuff like that. So they were like, well, if I add some sugar to it, we've got lots of molds and things. So we've got some little lifesaver molds, candy molds in the Career Center. So they put a bunch of sugar in there, boiled it down and to the right temperature, and then just poured those in there. They made little lifesavers. So instead of the drink mix, and then I've had other ones who have, they've gone and added some fruit juice to it, and they've gone and put it into the ice cream machine and made like a sorbet. And then we had another one where they took there's either coffee, chocolate, or mocha, or one of those kinds of flavor packets that normally has some like protein mix in there as well. They just go and take that, add and just either add water or add milk, or they can only use what's in the kitchen as well. I'm not buying more ingredients for this. It's just whatever's available. So if there was some half and half available in the fridge, or some cream or milk or whatever, dump some of that in there and put that into the ice cream machine and make an ice cream. So they do all sorts of amazing things. But they've really, some of them they'll take. If there's like a flatbread kind of thing, and they'll make a pizza out of it, with some of the other product from the toppings, and so it's it definitely makes it a whole lot more interesting. And we'll have the National Guard guys come back and they can judge it, and so it's
so cool.
That's incredible.
Well, especially for those who have lived, some of
You've
these
actually
guys
had to eat it the way that it comes, so they know.
Right, and so they've been out in the field where it's like it's this or I go hungry, and so it's like, now they're looking at it, it's like, whoa, this is like really good. But, so it's fun, and the students enjoy it, and it's we're always in education, we're always looking for students to think on a higher level, and so trying to push them to get to there, rather than like tomorrow, my intro students are making tomato sauce, mother sauce, basic mother sauce, and we build from there, because they have to learn how to crawl before they can walk, before they can run. So that kind of stuff, they're literally just going to repeat what I show them. They're going to look at the recipe and follow the recipe exactly, because that's the level where they are right now. But when you're starting to look at the derivative sources and the uses of derivative sources, that's when you have to start thinking about how that flavor is going to go with that protein, and everything like that. So that's where we're always trying to look for them to be more creative, because we talk about creativity being the highest level.
My run level for tomato sauce, like when I make spaghetti sauce at home, was Marmite and a little anchovy paste.
Oh,
and
nice!
Just roasting the crap out of all the ingredients and then blending it all together. Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
it's like the two like umami things where I'm like, okay, this is it. Like,
so I have Marmite, because being English, I have Marmite in the kitchen. Well, I've got it here as well, but
it's so good.
I always keep Marmite.
Do you have it in your office? It's like your office Marmite, a car Marmite. Like
I have it in the dry storage. Because students will look at it like, Chef, what is this stuff?
It's incredible. That's what it is.
Let me open it up, take a smell, and they say, oh, it's like, what is this evil stuff? It's like, oh, now you got to taste it. So Actually, when we study breakfast, and we do a whole week with my level 2s, we do a whole week of breakfast. So we just cook like breakfast from around the world. So I'll have them making like crumpets and things, and we'll put butter and Marmite on top. And they're just like, Chef, I don't think this is going to be good. But most of them, when they actually end up tasting, because if you taste it or when you smell it, it's so strong. And if you taste it, it's so strong just by itself, but it's not designed to be eaten straight out of the jar.
It's not Nutella. You're not eating it in the closet crying by the spoonful. I mean, maybe that's just me, but so good. What? But then,
anyway, when it's with something, then it's this amazing seasoning that goes with anything, So
yeah.
But so that's what you freeze my Vegemite with, huh? I still have a good amount left. I like it though. It's growing on me.
Oh yeah.
I think it's really good with like thin sliced Honeycrisp, like cream cheese and like a drizzle of honey. Like it's like salty sweet. Like I think it's really good. And I like both of them. I like Marmite and Vegemite. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
I like them both.
Well, I always loved having. I love to have like a grilled cheese with Marmite because it's the ultimate umami.
What kind of cheese?
Well, I do. It depends what mood I'm in. Either a really strong nutty cheddar, or I do
like
love,
a Leicester.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. If I can get a hold of one, right.
Yeah.
So, then my favorite cheese in the world though is a Swiss Gruyere, like an 18-month Swiss Gruyere that's nutty and stinky and. Well, the way
and has like those little crystals in there, and it's like super salt, like gets you like right there,
like a granule kind of thing. Yeah. But the way I describe it to my students is like, have you ever had your gym shoes where you forgot to put your socks on and they got wet and then they just kind of rotted away a bit, and then you smell it because you're like, what is that stink? And then, it's like that's the 18-month Gruyere, and it's amazing.
And they're like, here, eat this. No, chef.
right. Well, I also force that on them as well. We do a week of cheese as well, and so I'll have a big platter with different types. Because you got to go with like the pasta filato, like with the mozzarella, where it's stretched out curds, and then we'll go with blue cheese. We'll go with going all the way from goat's cheese all the way up to ripened cheeses. But I always, I've always got to go and throw some stinky ones in there. And it's interesting because most of the time, but once they start tasting some of these, they kind of get into it. Actually, the blue cheese is one of the hardest sells. And I'm like, guys, you'll eventually find it because it's amazing when you do. But
I think
then
something is like broken in me because I've liked blue cheese forever.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Like the riper the better. Just
I can remember being a kid not liking it, but as I got older, especially after culinary school, I can't get enough of it.
Oh yeah. When because I grew up with English Stilton, which is just you're cutting it and it's just crumbling away, and you just throwing bits in. I mean, I may have overconsumed. Sorry, chef. While I was like preparing platters.
It's
and things
one
like
of
that.
those it's one of those strange items too. That's like, how is this wet and dry at the same time?
Right. I know, right?
Is this normal? Yeah, it's supposed to be that way. Why?
When just talking to students about how it's made, where they inoculate it, we're purposefully putting molds into here because we want them to grow, but they're not pathogenic, so it's okay. We have the control over it to where we're just going to make it stinky. It's like, why would you do that? Because there's a lot of kids that, especially if they're from households that because obviously you get a really good Stilton or a lot of these aged cheese, they're out of the price point of where it's considered reasonable. If all they've ever had is that square of American cheese, I don't know why.
Don't hate though.
Every cheese has its purpose. I get it because it melts perfectly on top of that burger. But you know what? So a slice of Swiss would just melt on there just fine as well.
I love the first time that you tell somebody that maybe doesn't know that you're like, Swiss cheese is caused by bacteria farts. What?
Right.
That's what those holes are from. It's like air. It's like bacteria are farting. I mean, that's a funny oversimplification, but when you tell people that, they're like, oh God. And I'm like, but you'll still eat it. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh yeah. It's just fun going down that avenue and having students experience these things. But I'd say the toughest sell out of all of them is goat cheese, though. Just with the funk, And the acidity. Well, it's the combination of the funk and the acidity that a lot of them struggle with that. And so that's where I had to say, okay, then we need to put it, you need to put some on a cracker. Don't just take a bite of it by itself. You got to have it balance out with something.
It needs something though. Yeah.
Right. So we may get we may get some say again?
Not to me, it's perfect as is.
Okay.
I love it.
When you put it, use that acidity to kind of, if you put it with something fatty, like if you get a nice piece of Parma ham or something like that, when you've got something fatty to go with the acidity, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I find balance, So
I'm always fruit. I'm always like, this needs a red wine soaked cranberry on it. Like, this
right.
like, or a chutney or
right, exactly.
Nice. The salty and the acidity to me are great too. Again, for me by itself, I'm good with it too.
Oh yeah. But it's all about trying to find that balance, but it's a good way for students to understand when they're when they think that they know everything about cheese, and then they start tasting different cheeses, and they're like, I have no idea, and I'm not sure if I like it or if I hate it. Just trying to help them to understand it. You have to have it in context. Right now, we're tasting it as separate pieces, just with some basic cheese crackers, so you can understand it at its basic elemental level. But you're going to need to understand where you can apply it, because it's
it's hard.
The one that you should probably try to get them on is Limburger cheese, because I can remember growing up as watching cartoons. They always made Limburger cheese out to be like the worst smelling cheese.
Well, they animated fumes coming off of it. So,
and I can remember, a handful of years ago, I saw it and I had to buy it because I thought, we got to try this.
Yeah.
And it had a little odor to it, but it wasn't like bad.
Yeah. No.
And then when I tried it, I thought, holy cow, this is good,
Oh, it's got like wonderful creamy flavors to it. And it's awesome.
It's like one thing to ask somebody to eat like a super smelly Gruyere by itself. And then it's another thing to be like, we're going to make goujons. Like, okay, great. Like, this is, now it's great. We put carbs with it. Like, now it tastes good,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I will eat, my dogs and I will occasionally share a craft single, and I don't care if you judge me or not. I'll be like, one for me, one for you.
That's awesome. Well, but like I said, every cheese has its purpose, and so it's when you have a cheese which perfectly melts every time, guaranteed. Then all of these have their place, but it's. I guess I'm pleasantly surprised now in the last decade or so. I've been over here since '98, so I've been here for a couple of years now. But when I feel like when I first came over, most of the quality cheeses, when I say quality cheese, like the stinky cheeses, most of them seem to be, certainly because I came over to the Charlotte, North Carolina area. The vast majority of them that I would enjoy would be European cheese or international cheeses. But it seems like now there's in the same kind of way where we now have some great beers over here as well. Sorry Budweiser, sorry Coors, sorry Miller, but every beer has its purpose. but just not for me. But it seems as though the American palate came alive with cheeses and beers and all sorts of things, to where we now have unbelievable world-class quality stuff, and it's just exciting to see it homegrown.
It goes through like cycles though, right? Like you can think of all the early 2000s all the way up into now, like all the IPAs, like every bro needs an IPA. There's a billion IPA, but then there's like these social, like almost movements to where like everybody's drinking PBR. Why? Well, because the hipsters said it was cool. Okay. And it's cheap, right? It's like, but like for what reason, right? Well, because somebody decides that it is like just uncool enough or just not popular enough. It's the same thing with recipes and stuff. Like we've got like people are going back and making retro Jello salads, like for fun,
Right.
It's just weird. It's weird how those like movements and moods and phases, like, but I do think the American palate has come like a super long way. And I was just going to say, as far as price point on cheese, like I think Aldi is a really great place to find like a really approachable priced, cheese. you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I was just in there this afternoon picking some things up for school, and you're absolutely right. It's amazing where, you know, I guess we're brainwashed into believing that certain massive big box stores are going to be the cheapest places to get a lot of things, and then you end up, I'll go to Aldi and be like, wow, this is cheaper than somewhere else, and then I'll go to my local Asian grocery store over in Starlings. We have the new Asia market, and in there I'll be finding things that are like way cheaper than anyone else.
Oh,
So so I love that too, and I generally love that experience more as well. Between the music playing and the, seeing the horseshoe crabs running around in the tank,
all the sights and the smells and the sounds, and like it's very, you're going into it's no offense to regular grocery stores, especially for you, Steve, but it's like a sanitized kind of sterilized experience, and I think you know what I'm getting at, but you know what I mean, like it's HEB. I think HEB does like a really great job of kind of being like having a representation.
Way to recover.
No. I would have said this even if you weren't making a weird face. Like what I'm getting at is that I think they do a good job versus somebody else like Walmart, where that understanding who's going to shop there and what they're there for. You know what I mean?
So
it's become more of an experience now than anything else,
Yeah.
So my co-author of my books that I've written, they live down in San Antonio, and because you guys are down in San Antonio as well, right?
I used to be in San Antonio for about 10 years.
Okay. But HEB.
But the stores, yeah. Sorry, when I say you, I'm talking about the company you represent. So, but and his daughter worked for them for a while, and he was talking about how, because is it a family owned, or it's not like it's like a privately owned company, right?
Yeah, private.
But it's like massive in size though, but he was talking about like the how much of a different and better experience it was in those stores than when you go to these. Publix is very nice and everything, but it was like, oh, this is like another step above. So I haven't had the experience yet, so I need to eventually. I'll do that.
Road trip to Texas, Dominic.
Yeah,
I've learned a lot being in the grocery retail game for a while now, where like at my store, at every HEB that we have, you want to just have the best presentations. And I remember visiting my brother in Florida, and you have like an end capped freezer where typically we would have like breakfast stuff, you cross merchandise and stuff like that. And you go to like the competition, you just see bags of ice.
Right. It's like, wow, way to go selling that.
This is ice. Take it or leave it.
Right.
But you did just mention them. I told my brother, I just said, "This is, my goodness, what is this?"
Right.
It's funny.
And they don't
trying to sell ice in Texas. Who's going to ever be able to do that? Right? Does it get hot down there?
But it was just weird because it's like you have your own. Like for us, we have our own ice machines that say ice on it, not just something that should have like breakfast items or frozen pizzas or something.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you ever have like? So I'm going to keep going back to your students. I have like just random questions. Like, do you ever try to get them with the most unusual ingredients, like offal or things like that? Like, how receptive are they to that?
So generally, when we first start talking about it, they're just like, I don't think I can do that. Now, I give my students are awarded, or they earn an employability grade every week. And if you're going to be a chef or a culinarian, then you have to be at work on time. You've got to be dressed appropriately. You have to work with your team. Oh, and you've got to taste everything that's going to be cooked. So that's part of the grade. So at the very beginning of the semester, they have to sign on their syllabus to say if they have an allergy or if they have any kind of religious belief, anything like that. So that way, when we're cooking up everything, whether they love it or hate it, doesn't matter. Everyone's got to taste it. And there are very few who will take the hit on their grade for the sake of tasting it. Now there are some where they'll taste it and like within 15 seconds they're going over to the trash can. but the awesome thing is though, there's more often times where like, well, that's pretty good. It's like, well, I'm not trying to poison you, but
Yeah.
it's terrifying how many kids just with basic things like vegetables. It's terrifying how many of them regularly never have a single fruit or vegetable in their life. There's just none at all. It's just not normal.
Well, the
Everything
system
they eat is brown.
the system's not set up for people to succeed. Like there's food
Right.
deserts everywhere.
Right,
Like,
right, exactly. Right.
It's just a bunch of different things, right? It's like poor neighborhood planning and things aren't accessible enough and price points are high and like it just doesn't. It's like nobody can get ahead there,
So my wife always makes the comment when we go back. Now, Britain's expensive. London is expensive. And so
yes, it is.
but when you go into the store and you look at like the basic vegetables, they're always cheap. It's cheap to eat vegetables over there. And so they it's something which is definitely put. Now I'm not saying the British diet is any better and healthier than America. We have plenty of people who need to lose.
I was going to say there's plenty of beige there
lose pounds just like me. Right, exactly. Yeah. We enjoy Kentucky Fried Chicken just like we do over here. So, but it's when you're talking about like planning of towns and things like that, it's quite normal. The town I grew up in the northern suburbs of London, there was a couple of grocery stores in the center. Well, one over on one side of the center of town, one over on the other side of the center of town. So most of the time, most people go to the store multiple times a week, whereas over here you go like once a week for the main shop because it's a drive away. I mean, from where we live,
it's everything, right? We work more hours, and
right.
Yeah,
and so it's just not convenient to go grocery shopping for tonight's dinner. We're gonna get the next week, maybe 10 days worth, and just get it all in. So we're eating foods which are sitting around for a whole lot longer, and the nutritional qualities, starting to dip. Or we're just freezing everything, and so it's. I mean, even things like the milk. When you have milk over here, I mean, I'll go to Walmart, buy a gallon of milk. It's good for like 14, 15 days. It's like, wow, that's like a long time for a protein-based product to last. Whereas in Britain, you're probably going to have about a week. So that tells me they probably pasteurize it to a lower temperature. It's because it's going to go bad quicker. But probably leaving a little more in there. And I'm not saying America's bad and Britain's good, but America's bad.
Yes, you
did. I'm really not. I love it. I love it here, but I know that we do have we do have some big challenges with our food.
Everybody's got opportunities. I'm laughing to myself over here like, suckers, I buy soy milk and it's good for like 34 days. It's got just as much protein and it's good for like forever. So, but
certainly, well, one part that my students do learn about that we spend some time on as part of it. So we're an ACF accredited school as well. So we're one of the few in North and South Carolina. There are two schools at the high school level that are ACF accredited with the American Culinary Federation. For those who don't know, who may be listening in. So one of their parts is on there is talking about nutrition, that we have to have a minimum amount of learning by our students. And so for me, it's a big deal because when over here, where we look at food additives and colors and preservatives and things that we allow in our food over here, which you go to other countries, you go to places like China where it'll be illegal to add certain things in foods, but over here, perfectly legal. We're just talking about getting rid of that red dye because apparently it's carcinogenic. Well, we outlawed it a couple of decades ago in lipstick because it's carcinogenic, but we've been allowed to eat it still.
It's kind of a funny sliding scale though, because like red meat's a carcinogen too. So it's like, well, where do you draw the line? I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's an interesting. I think it's a way bigger conversation than like don't put this in your Skittles or whatever. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And when overall, what I just try to impress upon my students is try and get whole real food.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, if you're consuming more whole real food, then life's going to be better and life's probably going to be longer. So it's the more processed our foods are, the bigger the problems you're generally going to have. So.
Yeah, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and that's actually, if we have time, that actually gives me the thought that I can talk about what another road trip that my students went on as well.
If you guys are good for time, I am. I think.
I'm good. I just don't know if by this stage everyone's like, this guy's boring, and they'll have just switched off.
This is our 100th episode. We could do whatever we want.
We could do whatever we want.
But I don't want to be the one that ruined it all.
No, because let me tell you what, I have an announcement for the listeners.
Oh,
if you don't like it, we're going to keep doing it just to spite you.
There you go.
And if you listen every week, thank you so much. But we're going to continue making them. So I don't know if it's a threat or a promise. You just choose which one.
As long as we can. There's going to be a 100th episode part 2.
There's going to be
nice.
A and B.
Yeah. Right. So with the nutrition thought process, we went over to in Columbia, South Carolina, so about an hour away from where we are in Lancaster. We went down to their culinary medicine center. They just opened it up. This just opened up last fall, where they have their their third year doctoral students. So they're training to be doctors, not chefs or anything like that. But the thing is, when you go to the doctor and you have high cholesterol, right? So then the doctor goes and hands you this piece of paper that says, okay, you should eat egg whites only. So what do I do with the egg yolks then? Right? And you should only ever eat, and they give you this list. And it's like, if you eat this, you won't die. If you don't eat, or if you eat this over here, you'll die. Okay, there you go. It's like, what am I supposed to do? So people will generally... They'll generally try and stick with it. They'll eat the most bland and boring food because they don't know what on earth to do.
I have to interject here because I can't even keep quiet about it. There is little to no impact on blood cholesterol from dietary cholesterol. Bing, just had to put that out there. But it's because they don't, except for at this place that you're talking about. Generally, doctors choose nutrition as an elective.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The option of whether or not they want to learn it. Anyway, please go ahead.
Oh yeah, no.
That one and the salt for blood pressure bugs the hell out of me because the science is not there.
Right. So, I know. But there's a lot of science out there that has been created where you have to look at where the money came in for that research,
where the lobby is.
Oh, yeah.
Right, exactly. And all of a sudden the research goes the direction that they plan for it to go. And it justifies something that they wanted to justify. It didn't create a real hypothesis to get to where we need to. But anyway, so I digress again.
Sorry. I was like, oh God, it's the eggs thing. Hold on, I gotta. Let me get my soapbox out real quick.
So what they're trying to do now is, instead of just having it to where they hand a list to people, that they actually can talk about ideas of the kinds of things that they can do with cooking processes, and with the kinds of foods that they're eating as well. Because if your diet is literally KFC and McDonald's, your food might be wonderful to someone. Anyway, but the fact is, if you eat that every day, then because the problem is in this country, the problem is in the Western world, we've outsourced cooking, and we have other people cook for us. And so we end up eating overly processed foods, quite often fried, and
we've become disconnected from our food chain, from all our food sources. And I think it's come up on this podcast a couple of times with a few different guests about how we relate, how do we connect to, or where does our food come from, etc.
Yeah. Go to a farm, go to a slaughterhouse. You'll have a whole lot more respect for the food that you have. You'll probably waste less food as well. Just knowing what it takes to try and grow some some corn out in your backyard. And I would
die. I have the grayest thumb ever. I would go hungry. I would end up eating grass, and I would probably die from Giardia or something because somebody's dog peed on it. I just don't.
Well, I can tell you that our raccoons loved it. and
Dominic, I don't even know where tacos live. I don't know how to grow a sandwich.
right,
No
yeah.
idea.
There's
No
something wrong
idea.
with the sandwich bush. It hasn't produced any yet. But it's
And
but
the money tree over there is not doing so well either.
I keep shaking it. But anyway, so yeah, so these teachers, they actually go in. They've created this really cool facility. It's a teaching class or a teaching kitchen. It's huge as well. It's actually in an old Circuit City building. So when you look at the front of it, it's got, like the big plug that they on the
Oh my God, I
commercials.
love that so much.
Right, so they've kind of put that into the design of the front of the facility now.
Yes.
It's funny because all the students, when they said, "Oh, it's an old Circuit City building,"
Oh, what?
I literally had to bring up a picture on my phone. Guys, look, it used to be like a socket, like a plug
so
that would plug. And they're like, oh, it's like, yep, we're all old. Sorry. But they've sectioned it off now, so they have this really cool kitchen in there, and so they have a professional chef who basically guides these doctoral students through it, and apparently it's becoming very popular because which doctor wouldn't like to actually have some fun in the kitchen as well, because it's
Sure.
a neat kind of thing to do, and they actually get they're getting graded from it as well, so but it's great though, because now if we can have it to where the doctor can actually talk about, instead of just giving a list of something, they can actually talk about something and the methods but taking and trying to encourage their patients to, all right, lay off on the fast food and let's try some real whole food. Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to begin. All right, well, let me tell you about my experiences. This is where I began. So
or even just having some of the foundational nutritional knowledge to go like, okay, if fast food is the only thing that fits in your budget or is near you, right? This option is better than this option.
Right,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like being able to meet somebody where they are. I think is super
exactly.
important.
Yeah. When I'll have to make sure my students don't watch this part. So if you're one of my students, switch off now.
Like, turn it off now.
Right.
Extra credit if you turn it off.
but then tune in for the next episode. Keep tuning in anyway.
Yay.
So what we do at the end of their second year with me. Maybe I shouldn't disclose it fully. I poison them with a delicious dish of something that's good for them, which they think might be bad for them. But so they taste it and they're licking their fingers like, wow, this is really good. And I'm like, guys, sorry, I poisoned you. And they're like, oh shit, what'd you do now? So we look at snacking, right? Because who doesn't have a snack, right? Everybody snacks at some stage during probably most days. But choosing the right kind of snack can help. At least it may still not be great for you, but it's there's different levels of quality within snacks, right? And if you go and say, okay, I'm going to eat kale chip, that's all I'm going to have for a snack now is just kale chips. Well, that first day you're like, oh sure, I'm feeling good about what I'm doing. But in the second
sounds
day,
like
you're
a
like,
punishment.
right. The second day, you're like, I just want a piece of chocolate, and the third day, it's like, I'm just done. I hate this. So so what I tell my students is, okay, so what I need for you to do is then start investigating three. Well, we start off with they've got to find three different methods or three different better quality snacks where they've raised the nutritional quality on it. So it can be simple because very often simple is the best anyway. But so then we'll have them round it down to one, and then they're going to go through the process of costing it out because all chefs have to be able to know their costs on what they're producing. And then they actually write out a whole recipe and nutritional information. So it could literally be something really simple, but you start looking at whether it has whole grains or if you can increase the protein or if you can decrease the sugars, whatever it is that you're looking at to improve the nutritional quality of it. And so they then have to go and create whatever that thing is, and then their peers are the ones that judge them on how good that was, because at the end of the day, we can look at nutritionally if it's a better quality. But if the other students taste it and they're like, "This is awful," this tastes like cardboard. But it helps them to understand So one of our most popular snacks that we sell in the corridor at school are chocolate chip cookies. We call them the world's best chocolate chip cookies because they are. So, and it's a really simple. It's one of the ones I do with my intro students because it's a great way for them to learn about measuring accurately and things like that. Because and then the composition of how we mix the items together. Because if we just throw everything in together and mix it on high for half an hour,
so many things that can go wrong with a chocolate chip cookie.
Oh yeah, right.
know?
So we run all the way through having all the wet ingredients that get mixed first, so it dissolves in the sugars, and then we have the dry ingredients, so that we're not developing the gluten, because I don't want a tough cookie, because no one wants tough cookies.
You're not making cookie bread.
Right, exactly. and then when we put the chocolate chips in, we literally put those in, in the last 30 seconds of mixing, because otherwise, if they go in at the beginning and they get crushed down, now I'm making a chocolate cookie, not a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
Right? So they learn all about the process of mixing it as well. And the fact is, we never turn that mixer up above like level 2 or 3. We're not it counter to what a lot of children think. It's like, oh yeah, turn it on, and then they'll be flying everything out.
Floured the entire kitchen.
right, and then just overworking the dough. It's like, we barely want to mix this. Especially once you mix the wet with the dry, with that gluten. You barely even want to mix it at all now. So
the other day I had somebody needed to make whipped cream at work, and we stabilize ours, and I had to bring in some cream, like it got missed on a truck, so I had to bring it in from like a store, and having a fat content in it. So essentially, what happened is like she just kept turning the mixer up and turning the mixer up and turning the mixer up, and pretty soon there's just like heavy cream is like all over the place. Like, what is happening over there? Right. Chef, it won't get to peaks. I'm like, you just made sweet butter. Like, it's not like there's like vanilla paste flecks in here, and like when it didn't work, you just thought turning it up faster would fix it. And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay. Like, no, it's just the quality of the cream. Like, no.
Right.
It's not your fault, but it's not gonna work.
Beating it more is just not going to make it better.
It was so bad. It was like sticky crap everywhere. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so a couple of years ago with these cookies, that I challenged my students, because we're a career center, so we are exempt from the rules of what the other district, any school in the United States that gets federal funding for their meals has to stay within specific guidelines as to what they can serve. Right? Well, being a career center,
vegetable and all that business.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's another entire conversation there.
I know. You'll have to come back.
I would not want to be one of the lunch cooks in the high schools, because you are so limited on options that it's a shame. But so what I do though, because even though we're exempted from those, I don't like to just make stuff that's just bad for everyone all the time. It's an easy sell, but it's we should have a better thought process behind all the food. So a couple of years back, I challenged my level 2s. It's like, okay, so what can we do? We still want this to be the world's best chocolate chip cookies, so that's an important thing. But can we increase the nutritional value to it, but still have it be at least just as good? And so and so they started pondering, well, if we put wheat flour in, it's just going to be kind of drier. Wheat flour just doesn't make it great, So what can we do? So they started playing around with oats. So they got whole rolled oats, grinding them down into a flour, and then starting to work on the ratios between the wheat flour and the oat flour they created, and they got it to just the right point where it's like it actually made it better because the oats have more flavor. Because when it occurred to one of the students, when they said, well, you know what? I love oat cookies. I love oat raisin cookies because they taste good. I like the oat flavor that's in. So why don't we try this out? They tried it out. They got the ratios just right. That's our recipe now, and we stick with it now. So
awesome.
It has a slightly better nutritional quality.
It's fiber,
whole grain, right? And it's but it actually improved the flavor overall of that cookie. So it's like it's a win-win-win. So, but
nice.
But it's always neat when the light goes off or goes on, whichever way you look at it. And
the accidents.
Right. And then the students are just like, wow, we just did that. It's like, yeah, that's yours. You did this. So
Like this is how you're supposed to interact with recipes. Like that's
Right.
why you go to school, so you have the knowledge about like it's like you have the knowledge to be able to change a recipe without messing it up, or you understand like how the ingredients act with each other and everything else, right?
Exactly right, because you should at least be able to predict if I reduce the butter content to this, it's going to make it suck, right?
Yeah. Or if I brown it, if I brown the butter, I might need like an extra egg, or because then I won't have as much fat, or like little things like that. So
yeah, exactly, yeah. But
awesome.
then the one other thing that we had when we were at the culinary medicine place, they also, it's called Food Share. That they have another whole section of the building where there's all over South Carolina, and it may be wider than that, but all over South Carolina they have several Food Share locations where it's not a food pantry where they're giving food away, but you can buy boxes of fruits and vegetables.
Like a co-op.
So right.
Yeah.
And they have it set up where they've done all the paperwork that if you're on SNAP or EBT or any of those assistance programs, then you can purchase a $20 box with excellent quality vegetables and fruits in them, and you get it for five of your your assistance dollars. Right.
Oh, that's amazing.
So all of a sudden, instead of it being we just can't afford to eat well, we can't afford to eat good food. It's like, well, now you can afford to eat a whole lot more of it. But then you have the problem where it's like someone's looking at this butternut squash like, what do I do with this thing? so they also include in their recipes to do with all of the different things that are in there too.
That's cool.
That's what the chefs go and work on in there as well. So it's really an incredible. I mean, that facility. That's why I had to take my students there, because it's like it serves lots of things on lots of different levels. But and then also it's another place where my students can then see an experience where you don't have to sweat in a kitchen to make a good living. If you have the smarts and the know-how to be able to do a job like this and work in a facility like this, so it was a great opportunity overall.
That's so awesome. I love that. That's extraordinary.
I
have the most low-class recipe for butternut squash ever. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You poke it with a fork and cut it in half and put it face down, and you bake it until it's tender, and then you turn it over and you just scoop the seeds out. And then you cut a Snickers bar in half and shove it into each side, and then you put it back under the broiler.
Wow!
And it's like a vegetable and a dessert.
Wow!
So I learned it from Emeril Lagasse. Hand to God. I saw him do it one time on Emeril Live, and like never forgot. I think I was like 15 years old. Yeah.
So, I thought you were gonna talk about like and then you go and scoop out all the flesh and you make it into this amazing roasted butternut squash soup, or like Snickers bar. Boom! All right.
Bar.
Just out of nowhere.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But that's where it's kind of fun doing these fusions of different flavors going in there, because I mean one minute, I think you guys were talking about chocolate and in sweet and savory food not too long ago as well. Where it's like, I mean, chocolate, normally the darker chocolate, what you can be incredible and very, very savory when you kind of play around with it as well. But that it just makes me think of the first year that I was in the United States for Thanksgiving, and I look at the Thanksgiving table. I was invited to someone else's house, and they had the extended family. It was a Greek family, so there were like about 100 people there, and they had a massive dinner table with like a buffet that would had a bit of everything on it. And I'm like, what are these? It's like, those are sweet potatoes. I'm like, why are they white with kind of
Where's their marshmallows?
Right? They were like, well, those are marshmallows that are on top of them. I'm like, okay, like. Wait, is this a vegetable? Is this dessert? And they're like, no. It's like, it's part of the vegetables. I'm like, wow, this is the greatest nation on earth.
Well, it's depending on what state you're in. They'd be like, it's a salad.
Right.
Go with Jello.
It's put Jello in it.
Well, I love. I'll watch the. Oh, what's his name? Dylan.
Oh,
Hollis?
B. Dylan Hollis.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah.
He did cooking from yesteryear.
Right, right.
Yep.
I mean, amazing presentation. I love his presentation on things. I can watch him for hours, but some of the things that he does, I was like, I need to try that. It's just to see if this stuff would really work.
The pinto bean cookies those are a strange one. I've never been able to make them work. The depression cake, extremely familiar with because I have a cousin who's allergic to eggs, so I've had that several times as a birthday cake, and it's really good. Yeah. Some of the things he makes, I'm like, like the Jell-O mold with the celery in is like, no. And I love Jell-O, but no.
So one that he did was talking of depression was a depression apple pie, where you go and take
the mock apple with the Ritz.
Right. And so that's another one I do with my level 2 students. We've already done it this year, so it's okay. So unless if I get my next level, well, I should tell the level 1s not to watch the end part now. Okay. So when we start,
gonna get you in trouble.
I know, right? When we start talking about putting artificial products in foods, it's the most incredible way. Because I'll the what are they, like the butter crackers, the Ritz crackers will be in there, but looking like slices of apple, and then I'll do the crumble on top with some brown sugar on top, and then I bake it in the oven, so it comes out, and I'll have one of them. I'm like, okay, guys, I've cooked something for you. Come on into the kitchen. And I'll be like, okay, can you go ahead and cut it up? You put some onto the plates and give everyone some. And they'll start eating. I'm like, oh, but you have to do one thing for me. You have to tell me which fruit is in here, because I think you put a little cream of tartar, a little lemon juice. So you got the acidity on there. You've got the cinnamon in there. You got and then you've got all of the warm flavors kind of coming together. And they're looking at it and they're like, this has to be a trick. It can't be as simple as just apple pie. There's just chef's going to be too inventive for that, and they'll start coming up with, is it pear or is it? And then they'll start talking about like, are you really messing with? Is it like a rutabaga or something? And you've just like really seasoned it up heavily. Yeah, they'll start really trying to pull things out. And that's when I'm like, there's no fruit in there at all. There's like, so but because it literally, when you look at it, it looks like there's freshly sliced apples that have kind of caramelized in there. You can't really tell, and that's when I tell them, this is just me making it. You think about the food scientists that put together foods and tell you what the flavor is when there's really no fruit flavor or no whatever flavor. It's just artificially flavored. It just helps to open their minds up that it's like everything may not be as it seems. So you have to understand food a little more. So
absolutely.
It's fun. It's always good to open their eyes so that they're more aware of what they're really eating or how the reaction is, of where we make associations where if you have something that's got those warm kind of aromas like cinnamons and gingers and things like that, we start associating certain things with it. And you just trick the brain entirely. So always fun.
I think that you're giving them like a different perspective other than, we're going to make this recipe today, you're going to watch me and you're going to recreate it. Like, that's awesome.
Right.
So
it's thinking about where things come from and how we arrive at different things. Like, I'm always marveled about how our pioneers made bread from starters without understanding any of the science, and they kept it in a covered bowl, like in a covered wagon or like in a sod house. And I'm just like, oh my God, but you managed to make bread and live, right? Because I'm here. Right. So it's proof that the generations carried on. I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, it's mind blowing. I learned something today that I didn't know. I learned why salmon croquettes became popular throughout Appalachia. And it's because the government started subsidizing canned salmon around the 1930s and 40s. And it became more affordable to people in the poorer southern states. But part of the reason why they started eating it was because they were dying of a disease called pellagra, which is like it's like a lack of niacin in the diet.
Oh, okay.
And so they were eating like corn pone or like cornbread and beans at every meal, but they didn't have the nutrients necessary to unlock the niacin in the corn. The Native Americans knew how to do it because they would soak the corn in like alkaline, like lime. And the Mexicans knew how to do it because they were using lye for hominy, and it was making it a complete food. But the settlers didn't understand the science behind it. And so they would take these like cheap subsidized canned salmon with an egg and a breadcrumbs, and they could feed a family, and it had the protein necessary to unlock the niacin in the cornmeal. So they all but like eradicated that disease, like right at the end of the 1940s. But I was like, dude, that is crazy. Like I had no idea. And if you'd asked me what a staple diet in Appalachia was, I would have told you like pigs, cornmeal, beans.
Yeah.
Right.
But no. Also salmon croquettes. Like I had no idea. I thought it was just wildly interesting. And I was like, wow, it's so sad too. But I was like, sad that people were dying of malnutrition and still had things to eat, but didn't understand why. Right. Like, and I was like, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
that's the thing. When you start the study of nutrition, it's unbelievable where you see there's so many things that are interconnected, so that your body can properly absorb it. I mean, I know for me, I try to avoid medications in general. I try to avoid doctors in general, you know.
Sure.
I used to have terrible sciatica on my sciatic nerve where it goes through my hip. My father did as well, so I guess I'm just genetically, prone to that one. But so the doctor was like, okay, we've got some diclofenac sodium that we can prescribe for you, and it's because I was like, I don't like taking painkillers because when the pain's gone, then I know that the problem is gone. Right, exactly. I don't like to be kind of doped out of my head. But so they were like, okay, we can give you diclofenac sodium, and it's a really good, strong anti-inflammatory. It'll knock it out. I'm like, okay, cool. So I take it, but then I open up the packet, and like there's a warning label like this with letters this big, and it's written all over on both sides. I'm like, the heck is? And I start reading it because
500 side effects that are worse than sciatica.
I'm the guy that reads it, and I'm like, I'm terrified to take this stuff now. It's like, I think I'll just live in pain. Then I'm just thinking, what can I do? So I start doing some research, and then I look up and find turmeric is the curcumin that's in turmeric is an incredible anti-inflammatory, and I can eat as much of that as I want.
But not without what? Not without what, Dominic?
So you need to have the pepper, black pepper, and it's a fat-based compound as well. So if I go and take that, and I just say if I have it with a bowl of cereal with skim milk, it's going to do me no good because I won't absorb. It's very, very hard for your body to absorb the curcumin. But if you have the black pepper, and then if you have it with something that's on the fattier side, your body can absorb it. So
turmeric, black pepper, cardamom, chocolate chip cookie.
Bingo.
Bingo.
And that's it. I started taking that. Let's see, probably about 15 years ago. I haven't had sciatica since.
Good for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's just interesting to see when because I would literally at least every couple of weeks to a month I would have a terrible bout where it would be debilitating. I literally would struggle to get out of bed. I'd be hobbling around. And now I haven't had it in years. So.
I'll show my age just a bit here, but there are 5 exercises I do every morning while I'm in bed to keep that sciatic nerve happy before I get out of bed. So.
Is it kind of bending the leg over and then kind of pulling forward to?
There's kind of that one, and then there's like holding your knee underneath and flossing that nerve by moving your foot up and down. That one's been really beneficial, but it's pesky for people who are on their feet all the time, such as we.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But any homeopathic method, it's what I grew up with in my household. With my mother was a reflexologist and aromatherapist. So so I grew up with if you were hurting, then here's some arnica, and as a kid I'm like
arnica's great.
That doesn't sound like aspirin, but then you go and take it and it's like it doesn't hurt anymore.
As long as the cure for something is not patchouli, I'm on board. I can't handle it.
You and my wife would get on like a house on fire then. She's like, hippie stink. Right?
Well, hey, Chef, it's been amazing having you on. Tell us what you're cooking this week.
That's a good question. So, we're literally just came back from competition yesterday. So we're going to be cooking up, like I said, the tomato sauce with my intros, my And then we're at the end of the week, we're going to be working on hollandaise sauce. We're working our way through, all of the mother sauces. So we'll be making eggs Benedict because I like eggs Benedict. So, where my level 2s are also making lasagna. Today they had their workout. They were kneading. They're like, Jeff, is it done yet? No, keep going.
Nope. Can you still feel your forearm? Then no.
Right, exactly. And then so because tomorrow they'll be rolling it, and then we'll actually we'll part cook it, and then we'll freeze it, because I think it's next week we're actually going to make lasagna with the tomato sauce and the lasagna. We'll actually make the lasagna. And the level 1s are making macaron cookies. Excuse me. So 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 what we do, because we're
almond flour, like the real ones, not macaroons, right?
Well, not macaroons, macarons. But this is the challenge, because we'll be selling them out in the corridor, for like we do. But the problem is that if I have almond ones and there's a kid that comes by and sees, chocolate cookies, I'll get some of those, and they're allergic to nuts, then I could get in trouble. And killing customers just turns out it's a bad thing. So, and if I say macaron cookies, I've actually had some students come by, macaroni cookies? No, macaron cookies. So I have a recipe that actually has wheat flour instead of the almond. So that way I avoid killing anybody, and also the
probably
price
for the best.
Yeah, we can sell a couple of macaron cookies for $1 rather than it being like
$3.
right, exactly, yeah. But so we got a busy week we're rolling through. So,
I love it. Steve, what are you cooking this week?
I am actually going out of town Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I can go cater with my cousin's wedding.
Fun.
So we'll be doing, the chicken piccata. She wanted asparagus. What else did she want? She knows we'll make a good mac and cheese, and then clarified gazpacho, salmon croquettes, some sort of goat cheese, cucumber. So she, it's going to be fun. It's going to be simple, but more importantly, it'll be delicious. And I got a good friend of mine going to help us out.
Nice. So, that's incredible.
Very cool.
So I'm on this salad kick, even though it's getting cold again. I have some sirloin that I also just still marinated in more gochujang. Like I just pulled out 2 portions today. So I'm going to do that in the air fryer, and I'm going to make like a steak salad, but kind of like a chopped version. So I have green leaf, and I have cabbage, and I've got carrots, and like a red wine soaked craisin. And I have some of those kicking in the back of the fridge, and then, blue cheese crumbles and bacon. So that's what's going to happen.
Salad now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I know you don't even like salad. I get in the mood, right? Like I've had the egg ick for a better part of a year. You couldn't pay me to eat one. But then I'll eat nothing but salad, and then a month from now it'll be like nothing but cereal. I'm a toddler. I just go through a food phase. Like I don't, I don't know. So hey, Dominic, I will say I crushed a Filet-O-Fish the other day from McDonald's, and it was spectacular. The key is you have to order it at like 10:30 in the morning, so they have to make it fresh.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's the way you
and especially during Lent, because they're making them like around the clock, so they're always hot. Dude, it was so good. It was so good. So
nice. Very cool.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on for the 100th episode. It's been our pleasure. Again, you have to come back and talk to us sometime. I feel like this could go on for hours and hours. Like you're an amazing conversationalist and an awesome chef. And so I was telling
listening more than anything else. A lot of time I'm talking about, I'm just listening.
I was looking at Steve's face, and I was like, I wonder if I'm over talking him. Maybe I should. I was like, no, I think he's enjoying listening.
Yeah. I talk all day, so it's nice to listen, and hearing everything that you're doing with all your students and whatnot. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible, and at first I hope I can be like you when I grow up, and then next, I wished I'd had a culinary instructor like yourself, and that kind of program would have been really amazing. So keep on fighting the good fight. And thank you for being so supportive of the show and of Steve's cookbook and all the things, right?
Yes.
So
awesome. Everyone needs to get that. Visually, it's stunning. I just love it. And when I opened up the front page and showed my students, I'm like, you know who this is? And they were like, did he sign it as well? I'm
It's
like,
the
oh yeah. I
fucking
say,
sky.
I know this guy. Oh yeah.
I love it.
I didn't
They're
even
like,
have
no
to
way.
ask him to sign it. He signed it.
Love
He's
it.
my friend.
I
Yeah.
love it. He's like, he signed it against my will. I didn't even ask. All right. Well, guys, we're going to get out of here. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks so
All
much.
right.
Happy
Bye-bye.
100.
Thanks.
Cheers.
That's a wrap for today. Until the next episode of the Food for ThoughtCast, make good food, eat good food, share it, and be kind to one another.
Thanks so much for listening today. You are part of what makes us special, and we are so glad you joined us. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave a review. Just like food, delicious podcasts are better when you share them with others. Come back for seconds wherever podcasts are served, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Food for ThoughtCast.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Food for ThoughtCast or at www.foodforthoughtcast.com, where you can link to all podcast players, or you can send us an email at foodforthoughtcmc@gmail.com.